and then come back to it, you know?
I have esteemed the words of his mouth more than my necessary food.
More than my necessary food. That's how, hey, that's what I want. In the okay.
But he is in one mind, and who can turn him? And what his soul desireth, even that he doeth. Right? For he performeth the thing that is appointed for me, and many such things are with him. That's pretty much it. Well, no, actually, no, let me keep going. Just a little bit more. Therefore am I troubled at his presence when I consider I am afraid of him. For God maketh my heart soft, and the Almighty troubleth me, because I was not cut off before the darkness, neither hath he covered the darkness from my face.
Let's read it one more time. Through.
Okay. This is Job chapter 23, verse 12. Neither have I gone back from the commandment of his lips. I have esteemed the words of his mouth more than my necessary food. But he is in one mind, and who can turn him? And what his soul desireth, even that he doeth. For he performeth the thing that is appointed for me, and many such things are with him. Therefore am I troubled at his presence, when I consider I am afraid of him. For God maketh my heart soft, and the Almighty troubleth me, because I was not cut off before the darkness, neither hath he covered the darkness from my face.
It's in the prelude, where in Sirach. Right here, I'm trying to find it. It's like addicted. Actually, I'll just read it real quick. It says, this is the prelude and wisdom of Sirach. So it says, this Jesus was the son of Sirach and grandchild of Jesus of the same name with him. This man therefore lived in the latter times, after the people had been led away captive and called home again, and almost after all the prophets. Now his grandfather Jesus, as he himself witnesseth, was a man of great diligence and wisdom among the Hebrews, who did not only gather the grave and short sentences of wise men that had been before him, but himself also uttered some of his own, full of much understanding and wisdom, right? Because the Most High gave that to him. When, as therefore the first Jesus died, leaving this book almost perfected, Sirach his son, receiving it after him, left it to his own son Jesus, who having gotten it into his hands, compiled it all orderly into one volume and called it Wisdom, intituling it both by his own name, his father's name, and his grandfather's, alluring the reader by the very name of wisdom to have a greater love to the study of this book. It containeth therefore wise sayings, dark sentences, and parables, and certain particular ancient godly stories of men that pleased Yahawah, also his prayer and song. Moreover, what benefits God had unsaved his people, outsaved his people, and what plagues he had heaped upon their enemies. This Jesus did imitate Solomon, and was no less famous for wisdom and learning, both being indeed a man of great learning, and so reputed also. It says, whereas many and great things have been delivered unto us by the law and the prophets, and by others that have followed their steps, for the which things Israel ought to be commended for learning and wisdom, whereof not only the readers must needs become skillful themselves, but also they that desire to learn be able to profit them which are without, both by speaking and writing. My grandfather Jesus, when he had much given himself to the reading of the law and the prophets and other books of our fathers, and had gotten therein good judgment, was drawn on also himself to write some things pertaining to learning and wisdom, to the intent that those which are desirous to learn and are addicted to these things, that's the point, right? So what we want to be, we are addicted to this thing, you know? It says, and are addicted to these things might profit much more in living according to the law. Wherefore, let me entreat you to read it with favor and attention, and to pardon us when we may seem to come short of some words which we have labored to interpret. For the same things uttered in Hebrew and translated into another tongue have not the same force in them. And not only these things, but the law itself and the prophets and the rest of the books have no small difference. So we have to go back to the Hebrew with all of it. When they are spoken in their own language, for in the 8th and 30th year coming into Egypt, when every guest was king and continuing there some time, I found a book of no small learning. Therefore I thought it most necessary for me to bestow some diligence and travail to interpret it, using great watchfulness and skill in that space, to bring the book to an end and set it forth for them also, which in a strange country are willing to learn, being prepared before and manage to live after the law. And that's talking about Israelites that were amongst the heathens and such like that too, right? The ones that weren't living in the land with the rest of the Israelites, you know? The ones that were far off, that were speaking these different languages, you know? But we're gonna wrap up camp real quick. But the main point, you know, we're not supposed to be worshiping anything other than Yahawah, Bahashem, Yahawashah.
Let me end that off with that.
I got something real quick. This is Isaiah 54:1. It says, "Sing, O barren, thou that didst not bear, break forth into singing, and cry aloud, thou that didst not travail with child. For more are the children of the desolate than the children of the married wife, saith the Lord." Right? This talking about Israel. "Enlarge the place of thy tent, and let them stretch forth the curtains of thine habitation. Spare not, lengthen thy cords, and strengthen thy stakes. For thou shalt break forth on the right hand and on the left, and thy seed shall inherit the Gentiles, and make the desolate cities to be inhabited." Right? That's in the near future. Right? It says inherit the Gentiles. "Fear not, for thou shalt not be ashamed, neither be thou confounded, for thou shalt not be put to shame. For thou shalt forget the shame of thy youth, and shalt not remember the reproach of thy widowhood any more. For thy Maker is thy husband, the Lord of hosts is his name, and thy Redeemer, the Holy One of Israel, the power of the whole earth shall he be called." Right? Yeah, but that's the point, right?
This is Isaiah 2:17. "And the loftiness of man shall be bowed down, and the haughtiness of men shall be made low, and the Lord alone shall be exalted in that day, and the idols he shall utterly abolish."
The idols shall he utterly abolish. So we want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahawah, Bahashem, Yahawashai, Bahashem, Qadash. And honors to the apostles and elders of Greatmillstone for teaching us this truth according to the Bible. And shalom to the sincere Akim, you know.